Yeah, this is wildlife biologist Eric Orff with my New Hampshire Fish and Wildlife YouTube channel. Don't forget to hit the like and subscribe buttons. Well, here we are, the last day of January, and what's going on in central and southern New Hampshire? Well, behind me, maybe 60 yards away, is the Suncook River, which didn't freeze up until just a week ago. Actually, it was a week ago Tuesday, so it's been about 9 days now that the Suncook River froze here at my house and over most of it. And it remained frozen for less than a week. By Monday, this last Monday, 4 days ago, the Suncook River was ice-free again. So I have lived here nearly 41 years, and most of those years the Suncook froze over usually by December, and the ice stayed until the end of March. And this year, very different. And in fact, watching the local Channel 9 News, which I watched for 50-something years, Mike Haddad said, well, January was running 8 degrees above average, making it possibly the 4th warmest January on record in 150 years. So yes, this winter has been unusually warm and not much snow. I mean, if you look around, there's a lot of bare ground. Across my house is the Yetton Field, which I love to watch them green up and the snow goes. There was snow there Monday morning, and by Tuesday night the snow was gone in that field. So it hadn't quite gone from the rain that we got last Saturday night, the warm rain, but the snow left Tuesday during the day. In the morning it was kind of white, and by the evening the whole field was bare of snow. My yard is kind of half covered with snow and half not. So, you know, what does this mean for wildlife? What is going on for wildlife in New Hampshire? Well, if you're a snowshoe hare that turns white in the winter, or a weasel in the winter, an ermine, then not so good. But for most of the wildlife, I would say this winter has been very mild. For deer, no problem. Turkeys, no problem. You know, we did have about 10 days, over a week or 10 days of about 4 or 5 inches of heavy, you know, crusty, icy snow here in Epsom and in central New Hampshire. So I was worried for a bit, but 2 rainstorms ago that went away. So about 2 weeks ago, all that heavy, hard crust went away. So, but anytime we have snow, the turkeys arrive at my house anywhere from 30 to 50 most days. They've been here today a couple of times, but as soon as there's some bare ground, the turkeys are out and about looking for food. I noticed there was a turkey dropping in my yard, which I kicked out of the yard to get it off the driveway, and it was full of grass, dead grass. So you'd be surprised how much grass that turkeys actually eat. So when the snow goes and there's even dead grass, the turkeys will eat it. So the side of the road here is still covered with acorns. When I walked down the road the other day to throw a dead squirrel out of the road and throw it out in the field so somebody could enjoy it. So yeah, things have been pretty good for wildlife, I think, this winter. But here it is, late January, on the cusp of February, and despite all the ground that's bare and the rivers are open, what you're not seeing is any ducks and any robins and any birds. So you'd think, hey, it's spring here if you looked around. Of course, winter's has 2 more months of winter here. So the animals are not fooled. Why? Because it's old Sol. It's the sun. It's the sun that regulates wildlife behavior and ours. I mean, figure almost everything we eat came from, thank you, sun. And most of the products we enjoy, wood and cotton and everything else, thank you, sun. So the sun really is the cycle of life for all of us, especially wildlife. So, you know, the sun is rising, and I'm sure the birds in South America and Central America are getting a little anxious, but they know it's not quite high enough in the sky to head north. So it's the angle of the sun, where it is in the sky, that pretty much drives the life cycles of all wildlife, certainly, and to some degree, certainly us. So yes, other things that have happened, because it is this high. Here it is 11:30, and it's right now the sun is due south at my house, and so the coyotes I mentioned a week or so ago. This is coyote breeding season coming up, foxes and fisher, and so as Paul Harvey would say for the rest of the story. So why are these animals breeding now? Well, for coyotes, they'll give birth in April, and in about 6 weeks, so through May and into early June, they are, bringing food to they're nursing their young. But by late May into May, they are feeding their young meat. They're gathering mice, and in the case of coyotes, a study done in Maine, down East Maine, maybe 30 years ago now, found that there, in that part of Maine, the coyote parents were feeding their pups 75% deer fawns. Yes, they eat deer fawns because why? They're the most abundant thing in mid to late May and into June. There's a lot of them, and they're easy to catch, and that's what they feed their young. So it's everything is planned out practically to the week by these animals based on the sun, when I should breed, when I should be raising young, when that young need to eat meat, what is available, lots of fawns, so bears and probably even fisher, everybody are eating fawns. And I already said there's 120,000 deer in New Hampshire. Probably 70% of those are females, and many of those are adults. So yearling females produce 1 fawn. Most females older than 2 produce 2 fawns each year. So, 60,000 deer producing, or 50,000 deer producing 2 fawns each is 100,000 fawns. Do we need another 100,000 deer on our landscape? Probably not. So the coyotes and the fisher and the bears are trimming that number so they are in balance with the food that's available. So everything is connected, everything. If you're a wildlife biologist, you know that every single wild animal is connected to some other, and it's amazing. So here we have spring-like weather today in central New Hampshire. Sun feels good, easy to get around. You can walk and go virtually anywhere. Suncook River wide open, Merrimack River wide open, South Cook River wide open. Even the smaller streams, the little brook down the road here, the ice pretty much is gone, and even the little streams that you can jump over that I've been looking at this winter have stayed open most winter long, which they had never have before. So this has been an unusually open and warm winter for sure. I think the wildlife are doing fine, but spring is still a long ways away. So March and February, they could be pretty tough. So, and as I remember, doing winter deer yards when I worked for Fish and Game, each winter wildlife biologists went in and did winter deer yard searches, and seems like the snow was always the deepest by early March, when the deer were near the end of the winter. They're low on nutrients, they're low on fat, and the winter was often at its worst. So we certainly are not looking at spring here, but we are looking at a warm, open winter, and I think the wildlife are doing well, and well, we'll see what happens the rest of the winter. So don't forget to hit that like and subscribe button. Again, Eric Orff, wildlife biologist, New Hampshire Fish and Wildlife YouTube channel. Oh yeah, I've got over 100 likes, 100 subscribers now. Hoo-hoo! Don't forget to add your name.